I've been filming with GoPros for more than 11 years now, and this accessory is easily one of the most useful and creative ones that I've ever used. By the end of this video, you're going to understand how this accessory helps you to capture better footage, tell your story better, and ultimately if this accessory is worth it for you. Today we're going to talk all about the Action Box Cine. The Action Box Cine is the ultimate cinematic vlogging rig for GoPros. So today I'm going to unbox this kit, I'm going to tell you what's included, and then I'm going to go into a deep dive on the key features and show you how to use them. And then I'm going to provide you with a bunch of real-world testing, and I'm going to show you how I've used this and what results I was able to capture with the Action Box Cine. And then I'm going to do a pro and con analysis to help you decide if this is a good accessory for you. And then I'm going to provide you my final verdict and ratings on this accessory. So let's take a look inside at what's included. So first of all, inside here we have the Action Box Cine housing, and that is this main compartment right here. We've got a couple cold shoe mounts, and then down in here we have the magnetic ND filters. And inside here we've got first of all, a nice little case. It is magnetic. And then inside here we have an ND8, an ND16, and an ND32. And before you use these, you'll just want to make sure to take off the plastic lining here to protect them. And the filters themselves are also magnetic. So I'll show you in a little bit how to use those. And there's also one other very cool feature about them that makes these unique from a lot of other ND filters out there for GoPros. And as far as the feel of the materials goes, this nylon polymer is very nice. In addition, I also like the components that have some stainless steel in them. And of course the ND filters, those have metal, those are magnetic. And the filters themselves are also made of glass. So they're very good feeling, high quality material. And this case right here, this has a good weight to it without being too heavy. And of course you have the foldable feet down here, which is nice. You can tuck these away just like on the bottom, in this case the Hero 13 Black. You don't have to use the ones on the camera. You can use these once you have the camera inside the case, which I'll also show you in a moment. So first of all, it is really easy to do. What you're gonna do is you're just gonna turn this over upside down, pull up a little bit on this, and it's going to pivot out. And then to put your GoPro in, you're just going to line it up right here, and you're gonna pop it down in. Now, if you're like me and you have the USB pass-through door right here, that is fine. That will work just fine with this cage. And if you have the normal door, that also will work just fine. Then once we have our GoPro in there, we're just gonna push back down here, give it a little bit of force, and it's gonna click. So then your GoPro is in here like this, and it's very secure. You don't feel like it's gonna fall out on you. So then on this side of the cage, you have the ability to power it on right here. And of course on the bottom, there are the built-in feet on the cage. So if you need to mount this to any of those common GoPro mounts, you can easily do that. And of course you've got the 1/4" 20 tripod mount right here. And then going around to this side, like I mentioned earlier, you have access to the USB-C port right here. So if you're like me and you have a power bank like this one from Anker, you can easily plug it in right here. And then of course on top of the cage, you have the record button right here. And then this piece right here, this is going to be if you have a microphone adapter or anything like that you want to have come out here. You can route it through here to keep it in place and out of the way. And you've also got a cold shoe mount right here. So if you need to mount a light, an external microphone, anything like that. And this is made of metal and it's very rugged, so it's perfect for that. If you're filming in a situation where you don't need the shade, which we're gonna talk about in a moment, you also can just turn this counterclockwise and you can pop the shade off, and then you could add another cold shoe mount right up here on the top. Then you can tighten this. So this would be perfect if you're filming with a light and you want the light on top here. Like if you're filming at nighttime, you can take off the shade and put that there. So then that gives you a possible 2 cold shoe mounts here. And then you've also got the bracket down here that you can route the microphone or any other cables through, such as this one from the power bank. You could easily route it just like that. And it just keeps it there at the side. It keeps it out of the way. Very nice. So speaking of the sunshade lens hood, that is this part right here. And this is adjustable. So once you get the angle you want, you're just gonna tighten this until it's snug. And it's going to stay there. It's not gonna move around on you. It's gonna stay right in place. And this, of course, is to prevent those lens flares. So if you've used a GoPro in the sun before, on a day like today where it's very bright, you're going to get lens flares. And those lens flares can look really bad. They can take up a bunch of your frame. And this helps prevent those. So when you are facing the sun, I highly recommend having this. And you want to make sure this is down far enough so that it's shading this so that the sun does not hit your GoPro lens here. And speaking of sun and bright days, ND filters. So on a day like today, I would probably use ND16 or ND32 because it is very bright and very sunny. So in order to pop on an ND filter, all you got to do, put it right there, release it. It's going to pop into place. Now, if for some reason the ND32 was not strong enough for my use case today, these are stackable. So I could take the ND8 and I could also put it on. Now at that point, these should be strong enough even for a really bright day. But if for some reason they weren't, or if I wanted a slow shutter speed for a photo for something like a waterfall, I could stack the ND16 on there as well. So I've got 3 of these stacked on there, and that is some serious ND filtering. And the magnets are really strong. Like right here, I'm pulling off all 3 together. These are not just gonna let go on you when you're using it. They're very secure. And of course, if you own a polarizing filter, you've got the little wheel right here where you can adjust the strength of that filter. So you can make it stronger effect or weaker effect. And that polarizer filter, of course, would be right here where your GoPro lens cover is. So you'd put that on first before putting the magnetic filter on top. Now the polarizing filters are not included with this, but if you already own one, then you already know how to attach it here. And for the cold shoe mount, if you need to mount an external microphone on there, that of course is pretty self-explanatory. In this case, this wireless mic would just clip on right here, and you can have it going right there on the side. And again, it's very secure. I'm shaking this, it's not falling off. It stays quite well there. So the next thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you some real world testing that I've done with this rig. And this is going to include some samples from hiking, some samples from biking, and I've got the ND filter on here. So for these first few samples, I was using ND32. The other settings on the GoPro were set to auto. And I did have the sunshade up here to prevent that lens flare. And of course I have it adjusted so that it's not gonna show in the frame. Like this, if you don't have it adjusted properly, it is going to show right here. So you wanna make sure you have it up high enough so it doesn't show. And test scenario number 2 is some vlogging samples. So I'm just walking along with the camera, I'm talking to it, and this is just for you to see how it handles in a vlogging type setting. And this is a good test just to see how easy it is to hold it right here on a stick. So I've got a selfie stick. I've got ND16 on because it's a very sunny, bright day. But of course right here, when I step into the shadows, the auto shutter automatically adjusts. It is about 100 degrees out here today, and there's just a ton of bugs. There's gnats everywhere. But as I always say, every day is a great day for a hike. And today is not going to be the exception. Ready? It's going to be cold. Stand on the edge. You like that water?
I love it.
third test scenario was me doing something faster paced. And this is to demonstrate how well everything stays in place even when you're hitting a lot of bumps, moving around quickly, etc. So next, I'm going to do a quick pro and con analysis so that you as a creator can think about this set and determine, is it right for you? So let's start with some pros. First of all, the ActionBox Cine does eliminate several pain points with GoPros. One of those would be the lens flare. Without a set like this, it's actually very hard to eliminate the GoPro lens flare because you need something to shade it so the sun doesn't hit directly into the lens. So that alone is a huge pro about this set. In addition, this is also a way that you can use ND filters without having to take off the lens cover. And it also makes it possible for you to mount several things to the camera via the cold shoe mounts. And it also has the bracket so you can keep the mic cable, your USB-C cable, anything like that confined and out of the way. And of course, one of the pros of this set is it does include ND filters. And if you've bought ND filters for your GoPro before, you do know that ND filters are pretty expensive. So for the cost, these ND filters, with them being magnetic and stackable, is definitely a great selling point of this set. And plus, I would add, it saves a significant amount of time because you can quick swap those filters. You don't have to pull out your GoPro, take the lens cover off, put on a different filter, take the filter off, put on a different one. You can just quick swap them, they're magnetic. And of course, another big pro of this is the build quality. It is strong and durable without being too heavy. In other words, there's metal in places where it makes sense to have metal, but then there's that polymer nylon in places where it makes sense to have that material. And another pro is this is compatible with all GoPros from the Hero 9 forward. So it's compatible with the Hero 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And another pro is the modular design. So because of the modular design, you don't have to have everything on there. If you don't need all the cold shoe mounts, you don't have to attach them. If you don't need the lens hood, you can take that off as well. If you don't need the bracket for holding cables, you can also remove that. And finally, one of the pros of this cage is it does protect your GoPro. If you were to drop it and have it smash into the ground, this cage is going to protect it. Your GoPro is probably going to be fine. It's probably not even going to have a scratch because of how this wraps around it. So that is definitely another pro of this set. But there are a few cons that you should consider as well. And even though I labeled this first one as a con, it isn't necessarily a con once you dig into the numbers. But the first con is the price is a little bit steep for an accessory. It is $150. But when you consider this is not just a single accessory, it is a bunch of accessories all in one kit. That definitely brings up the value of the set and makes it worth that price point from my perspective. Quality ND filters alone would cost almost half of what this entire set cost. And these ND filters are magnetic and stackable, which adds even further value and versatility to them. In addition, having that lens hood is something that is really hard to accomplish otherwise to keep the sun out of your lens from giving you those big, ugly lens flares. So that I really assign quite a value to as well. And then the cage to protect your GoPro, that of course has a lot of value too. And of course, another con is this does add some bulk and weight to your setup. As I mentioned earlier, it's not that heavy. It is of course adding some bulk and weight versus just having the GoPro. So do keep that in mind. It does take up a little bit more space. Now, if you own an older GoPro, a con of this would be that you can't use it unless you have the Hero 9 or newer. So if you own an 8 or earlier, this cage unfortunately will not work with those cameras. And then one more con is there can be a little bit of a learning curve with the ND filters and knowing which ones to use or not use. But that is not unique to this cage. That's going to be any ND filters you use regardless of this cage. But it is worth noting that these are ND filters and you will need to learn how to use them and when, which by the way, I've created a video that teaches you everything you need to know about why and how to use ND filters. If you haven't used ND filters before and you're thinking about doing so, I strongly encourage you to check that out first. It's going to teach you what you need to know. So who is the ActionBox Cine for? The ActionBox Cine is for any serious content creators, filmmakers, or vloggers that are using a GoPro. If you want to use this for cinematic projects or vlogging especially, I highly recommend this. It's got a ton of value for those vlogging use cases, especially the lens hood, the ND filters, and the ability to easily connect an external mic to it. Those three alone make it a great value for you as a content creator. Now, this isn't for you if you're a casual user of your GoPro, maybe you use it a couple times a year, or if you're very budget conscious, if you don't want to have anything on your GoPro and you just want to use it as it is out of box, then this set would not be for you. But if you're creating content regularly with your GoPro and you're doing a lot of vlogging with it, the return on investment for this, it's going to quickly pay for itself. So if I were to rate this accessory on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest, I would give it an 8.5. That 8.5 is based on the high quality of the materials, the versatility, and the value that this provides. Those three things right there justify that high ranking. So if you're interested in using the ActionBox Cine for your content creation with your GoPro, I've linked to it in the description below so you can check it out. And if you are a GoPro creator and maybe you're just getting started, or maybe you would like to learn more about how to get the very best footage with your GoPro, check out this playlist right here. This playlist is my GoPro Essentials, and on this playlist there are a ton of different videos that will teach you a lot of very specialized things that you can do with your GoPro and how to get the very best results.